Okay, this is a video demo to demonstrate how to gain access to the manipulator. It's underneath this base cover here. So if you have any problems with your movement of the chessman and table, you'll have to get inside there to check it out. First thing to do is take the Phillips head screwdriver and take these two screws off the tabletop. This is 4526, so it actually has a Y-axis motor here, but you'll have a stage like that. The other thing that's going to need to come off is this chessman. Now, as you pull up on here, you notice it won't come all the way through. I'll have to show you underneath. There's a cap screw and a washer that holds that in place. There's also two wires plus a ground wire that's attached. It has to come off. In order to gain access to that, you're going to have to take the back cover off. So let's go around the back. I'll show you how to do that. You notice there's two cap screws here, and just using a standard 5/32 Allen wrench or L wrench, and go ahead and loosen them. I had these loose already, so you loosen them up, they'll come right out. I typically use a 3/16 T-wrench like this. You can use your Allen 3/16. You have to reach in there and loosen these up. There's 4 of them all together. I've loosened them up already, and then it's still tight on the end there. Just tighten this one up a little bit to hold it in place. So we'll go ahead and loosen that up. Once these are all loose, you can just go ahead and take the cover off. So basically, you got the 4 here, 3/16, 5/32 down here. Loosen them up and take the cover off. Just be careful, as you can see, as I turn this back. That's the size of the cap screw that goes inside the upper. It's quite long. So put that to the side. If you look on the side here, these are the 2 wires. I had just worked on this system, so typically these will be tie wrapped onto here, but these are the 2 wires that are leading from the multi-mouse or the chessman, and there's also a ground. Now this one's been been replaced. This actual chessman, the color is a little bit different. It's a grayish color. Typically, you will not have connectors here on your setup. You can see there's 2 connectors. It will just be the wires leading through and then a ground attached to this ground bar here. So what we'll need to do there is, if you follow these out, you'll notice that this is P25. You want to disconnect that from your board. And the other one is over here for the chessman, which is, it says chess right on the board. I think this is P5. So you'll need to disconnect those 2. Again, if it's tie wrapped in there, you're going to have to cut the zip tie. You have to cut the zip ties. These need to be free, because as you lift this chessman out, it's going to come out with it. And then we'll have to take the ground off. So down here we have here's the ground here. Again, you're not going to have these connectors here. This one has been modified. So it'll just be a ground wire connected to the ground bar here. So let me go ahead and take that off. And then once you have all 3 wires disconnected, I'll show you how to pull a chessman out. So we'll come back in a little while. Alright, so you can see I have the ground and the 2, the P25 and the P5 wires disconnected from the chessman. Next, what we'll need to do, the first thing too is make sure you unplug the power from the system. Is we're going to turn this on it and hang it over the edge like so. Now, if you look up underneath, if you move the chessman line, you can see this where the rod comes through, and that there's a cap screw and a washer on it. See, as I'm lifting it, it won't come all the way through because of that washer. So what you need to do is take your Allen key and loosen that up. Now the whole thing will spin, if you notice that. So what you'll need to do, you'll have to grab onto that, the rod. And in order to do that, I'm using a pair of needle nose. And we'll go ahead and loosen this up. We snug it up so it don't fall out. I've seen some of these come in where the screw is missing. So you want to snug it up a little bit when you put it back together. So we'll just take that out. Just make sure you place these where you can find it. While we're under here, I just want to point out there are the 3 cap screws here. I think they're 3/16 too. I don't know the size, but that's the wrench you use, at 3/16. There's 3 here and there's 3 on the other side. And that's gonna, once we get the chessman out, we can go ahead and lift the whole base cover off. So at this point, as you can see, it's out. We're gonna go ahead and just lift this straight out. You can see that the wires are connected here, so you're just gonna need to allow them to come through here. Just pull them out and through. Okay. So now you see the chessman's removed. And if you look down in here, it has one of these. The manipulator moves here, and then the base. You see there's one of the, what they call it, some kind of bearing. Spherical bearing, I think they call it. And the difficult part when reassembling it is getting the chessman rod through here. I'll show you that one. Go ahead and put the system back together. I'm going to use my T-wrench here. I'm going to take out these 3 while we got it hanging over this edge. Just go under here and take these 3 out, completely out. And then we'll take the 3 on the other side and we'll lift the cover up. Okay, I turned it around the other way, so this side is leaning off, gain access to these cap screws underneath here. I've taken one off already. I'm going to take the 3rd one off and out. These to the side. At this point, you can go ahead and put the bonder back on the table. Loosen out. Now the 3 screws on either side are out. Chessman's out. Table, kept the top off. You can go ahead and come on. So that at this point you can see that we have our manipulator moving. There's a little spring tensioner here to always pull it back. A little ground wire here. If you only need to slip one of the, I don't know if you can see it there. Here's a cup here. There's a cup here holder, and another cup in the back. So that's your 3 cups that hold these 8mm steel balls. You can lift up slightly, just a little bit. It only allows you to lift it up a little bit, and then you can go ahead. Let's say, for instance, this one fell out. It's laying here. You want to check to make sure they're all there. You go ahead and take the ball. It fell into a corner. So you can lift it up enough. Just place the ball in there and set it back down. You should have free movement of your manipulator at this point. Alright, we'll come back and we'll start putting this back together. Okay, once you're certain that all 3 of the steel balls are in place in the cups and it moves correctly, you're good to go. The only difficulty is putting the chessman back through that rod is that these are spherical bearings, I think they call them. And we found out that the best way to do that is find an Allen key. Let's see, what size is this? This is a 1/4 inch Allen key. When we're going to put it back together, you can kind of hold it in place like that, and then drop your piece in. One of the problems is you're fighting against the spring when you're trying to line these 2 up, so it gets a little difficult. But by putting a 1/4 inch Allen wrench in there, it may help you line that through. We'll go ahead and try that. So your next step would be to put the cover back on. don't have to push it all the way back yet. At this point, you can go ahead and run your wires. It's better to leave it out a little bit. Just lay your chessmen up on top here, take your wires, 3 wires, and just run them through the hole. And then through the back, to the back. Get it through. Just want to bring it through back, all the way back in through here. Just leave them laying like that. Then drop your. Make sure the 2 buttons are facing towards the front. And once you get that in place, now you're going to have to drop this rod through those 2 spherical bearings. Rocking here a little bit. Let me just bring this here. You can move the manipulator around. The base stays steady, so it's part of the base. So what you can do is use the Allen underneath to hold it steady. Drop it down a little bit. You need to start putting the rod into that first bearing. Well, let's just do that first. It's a little difficult, but it's how it's done. All right, we'll come back. Once I get this started, we'll come back and let's take a little. All right, so once you push the Allen wrench through there, you want to keep the rod of the chessman pressed up against it, and then slowly bring it down through here. I don't know if you can see it. See, it went right through. It takes a little practice, but I just want to show you that it is doable. So if you look on the bottom here, you can see that the rod went right through doing that. It may take a couple attempts, but it should work. The problem is that those bearings want to move as you're trying to push it through. So, and then once that's in, you go ahead and take your make sure you have the washer on there and your cap screw. Thread that back in there. Now, as you can see, it won't pull all the way through. We're going to snug it, tighten that up a little bit so that it doesn't come loose. Again, I'm going to use a pair of needle nose. You pull this down through there. There are 2 flat spots on there, so you grab it right there. Go ahead and tighten that up. So now, basically, you're almost complete here. You'll go ahead and take your 3 cap screws for this side. Go ahead and put that on. I found it's best to try to look up underneath. You want to make sure to push back as far as possible. And then sometimes you may have to come up underneath here to find the hole, line it up correctly. And then once that's in there, put the 3, get the 3 started on this side. You may have to, again, come underneath to find out where the hole is. Just leave them loose for now. Get all 3 in. Then once you got all 3 started, you want to go ahead and just make sure it's all the way back, and then go ahead and tighten up this side. So we'll do the same for the other side. You just take your bonder, slide it over this way. We'll go ahead and put the other 3 screws in here. Make sure you push back on it. At that point, we'll go ahead and put the tabletop back on. 2 screws. Just for time's sake, say for instance that's done, then you can put your table back here, your bonder back on the table. And then you're just going to have to go ahead and reattach your P5 and P25 wires on a board. One here, one here. Attach your ground back to your ground block here, which your screw that was pulled out. If you need to tie wrap some of these wires back up under this the bundle here, it's fine. And then you'll go ahead and replace your cover. Okay, so that's it.